The issue of illegal mining, also known as galamsey, has become topical again. It's almost as if we did not know about this or it did not happen before. So on Face to Face today, the plan is to go back to the root cause of galamsey, find out when this started, what have been the measures in the past to deal with it, and what is this government doing right or wrong, for which reason, even though the presidency has been put on the line for the fight against galamsey, our water bodies look like groundnut soup. My name is Umaru Sandamado, and on Face to Face today, my guest is someone who has headed the sector that is responsible for a safe environment. I'll introduce him when we come back. Please stay. The Honorable Mahama Ayariga represents the people of Bawku Central. He went into parliament on the ticket of the NDC. He has just gone to file nominations again to be hoping to be elected in the upcoming election, so he'll continue to represent the people. We'll talk about that. But before then, he was a deputy minister for various portfolios and then also became minister for environment. And his duty was to ensure that our environment was safe and protected. So what happened almost 10 years on, our environment is still in shambles, and we're talking about illegal mining and galamsey. Honorable Mahama Ayariga, you're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you, Muru Sanda.
Why are you looking at me as if, where is Sanda coming from with this? It's a fair question.
Well, yes, because
10 years ago, you were at that ministry.
Yes.
You were supposed to have a safe environment.
Yes.
Today, our environment is unsafe.
Yes.
What went wrong? Where did we go or did we come? What's happening?
Well, I mean, about 10 years ago, I said that that is not the way to fight illegal mining. You cannot protect the environment using the crude methods that I saw at that time being used to deal with illegal mining. And indeed, when President Akufo-Addo took over about 8 years ago, and he put his presidency on the line to fight corruption, galamsey, and people were hailing him. I said he would not succeed. And I said he would not succeed because he didn't come across to me as somebody who understood the problem.
You're the one who cursed our president.
Pardon?
You were the one who cursed our
No,
president.
I didn't. When I listened to you, I tried to find out whether you understand the nature of the problem that you are dealing with. If I hear from you an understanding of the problem, then I know that you might be in a good position to fashion out a solution. Then the rest will be commitment to the efforts to solve the problem.
So he got it wrong.
So from the beginning, if you go to interviews I granted as far back as then, people said I gave up on fighting galamsey. I said I didn't give up on fighting galamsey. I just said that they were fighting it the wrong way. When I was Minister for Environment, I must admit, our government also had a lot of challenges fighting galamsey. But you see, at that time, galamsey was not being fought by the Ministry of Environment. Even the interministerial task force that was set up to fight galamsey didn't have the Minister for Environment there. It was lands and natural resources, it was defense, it was national security people, I think it was even foreign affairs minister, Hanatete and co, who were then involved in the fight. That was and then the army, you know.
So the interior as well.
Yes, the interior and all that. So they were largely in charge of the interministerial task force. Also because very often the Ministry of Environment is woefully under-resourced, even though that is the ministry that everybody thinks of when it comes to protecting the environment. But it is, a woefully under-resourced ministry, not being given the kind of prominence that it deserves.
Is it a new ministry? Just to digress, is it a new ministry or is something that has been there since Kufuor's time?
Oh, it has always been there, but except that at a certain point, the Ministry of Environment really was under Ministry of Local Government and etc., the EPA, and then later on it was separated. So Environment Ministry is a relatively newer ministry in relation to most other sectors. So the issue when it comes to galamsey is that we need to understand galamsey. What is galamsey? what is it? I decided to go to the field to find out what is galamsey. And each time I was going to the field, I sent an advance team to talk to the young men and women who were involved in galamsey at their various sites, that I was coming there, but they shouldn't run when I'm coming, because I'm not going to arrest anybody.
I want to hear them.
I just want to hear them and understand what is really happening, because this is a problem that I must fashion out a solution for. And you know, I went to the environment ministries about a year before elections, so I wasn't really there for long. So for me, my approach is to understand a problem. And you can't understand the problem unless you deal with those who are the practitioners.
So you were doing the dialogue approach.
So for me, an approach to understand the problem so that I figure out exactly how do you deal with this problem. So the people would not run whenever I visited the galamsey site. And then they will take me through every process that they are involved in. They will take me through. They walk with me into the forest, the reserves where they were mining, show me the pits, show me how they get in, show me how they get out, show me the children they use, and then how they fortify the children spiritually.
Wow.
You know, encourage the children, so the children feel that they will not die if they go in there. They showed me everything. And then I tried to understand, but why do you do it? First and foremost, I figured out a number of reasons. One is poverty, the natural urge to make money, and the allure of gold as something that really you can just make it and then make it big. And a lot of young people get excited about anything that is gold. That will give them big money. And then the poverty that drives parents to push their children from the north to go to the southern sector seasonally to look for jobs, and then how those children get there, and then they get entrapped into galamsey activities. And then, of course, the big shots sitting in the cities who can finance the activities, where they will rent bulldozers, dozers, all sort of earth-moving equipments, and give it to people who have sites. They will do the excavations. They will have hundreds of young ladies carrying the tin on their heads with pans to processing places where they will process, and then at the end of the day, they will account for how much they have been able to recover. And then, of course, the different layers of mining. So you find out that chiefs are involved. Politicians who are businessmen and into mining are involved. The security agencies are involved. Let me give you a typical example. There was one forest reserve where I visited, and the young people took me through the forest, and then I saw soldiers actually standing not far from there, because I had sent message to them that when I'm coming, please don't arrest anybody in my presence, because I want to listen to the people. So the soldiers were not arresting anybody. They were stood there watching. So after some dialogue, I asked them, but how are you able to do all this when we have soldiers standing here? So, they don't mind this, that we do it with them.
Wow.
Yeah, they just said, don't mind this, but we do it with them. That's what they told me. That don't mind this, we do it with them.
Soldiers sent by the state to go and
soldiers sent by the state to go and prevent them from mining in the reserve.
They're in cahoots.
Are you getting the situation? So, and they told me a lot of things. In one location, they said, what we are doing, is it illegal? I said, yes, what you are doing is illegal. No, but the assembly comes to collect levies from them. I said, assembly collects money? Yes, all of them, assembly collects money from them. Because it is classified as an economic activity for which they pay to the assembly. And I called the assembly people to ask. They say, yes, true, we collect tolls from them because it's an economic activity and etc. So assemblies are involved. The police are involved, because I go to a site and then you see huge excavators, and I'm asking myself, how did the excavators move all the way from Accra?
All the checkpoints on the road.
All the checkpoints on the road. There's no road construction anywhere there. And then the policemen at the various checkpoint are not interested in where it is moving to, and then it gets to a mining site. How is it that you are a divisional commander or a district commander of police with the entire police infrastructure under your control, and then there is such a massive excavation within your jurisdiction, and you tell me that you don't know where it is and what is happening there?
And at this time, had your government banned
No, at that time we hadn't banned mining.
Okay.
You know, I was at the
So it was a
ministry
normal business
it was,
trade
yes,
that was
yes,
ongoing.
Yes. So you find out that everybody is involved one way or the other. But what are the real underlying causes? Now, these are the real underlying causes. The real underlying causes is that these young men are being denied licenses to carry out the operation. Not that they don't want the licenses. In fact, they will be happy to have the licenses to carry out these small-scale artisanal mining activities. But they are being denied the licenses. That is why the NDC manifesto, John Mahama is saying, look, we'll give them sites and we'll give them licenses. Because what happens invariably, and then towards the end, I will explain to you how I try to deal with this problem. The Minerals Commission, which is responsible for carrying out some investigations as to where the mineral reserves of the country are, they, after they've done their aerial surveys and reconnaissance and etc., they tend to identify locations where they think we have some mineral deposits. I cannot establish this, and I don't intend to impute any, criminal conduct for somebody that I don't have evidence of. But what ends up happening is that immediately there are discoveries. Somehow, all those places get demarcated and plotted in the name of companies.
Even before it goes public?
Even before it goes public. Even before the general public gets to know. People within the various commissions, either their staff or consultants that they use to carry out the exercise of trying to establish the existence of mineral resources there, or whatever it is, you go to the data room and you find out that every place has been demarcated and then it is plotted in the name of a company.
Based on my little knowledge on natural resource law,
yes,
a company would have come to get a prospecting license. And so naturally, before the place is called a gold area, there would have been a company that went to do prospecting. So that should not be a surprise, should it?
No. In some cases, it is the state that has sponsored some effort to identify and establish the existence of some minerals, mineralization in the area, where you fly these drones and aircrafts, and then they do a survey, and then they come out, and then they use the data they gather to show that we have mineral reserves here, we have iron ore there, we have zinc there, we have this there, we have that there. That's how it is. Then, sometimes, people, how they get to know, I don't know. They move in there quickly, and then they plot all those locations.
In their names?
In their names. When they plot it in their names, and then these young people also get to know that there is mineralization here. We have gold here, we have this there, we have diamond there. But then they also get to know that there's something called small-scale license. So they could go for a small-scale license in order to also mine, engage in artisanal mining. When they go, they're told, oh, the place belongs to some company.
It's been taken.
It's been taken. Then they're like, well, we don't see anybody there. So, don't worry, it's been taken.
Is that what's happening now, or that's what used to happen when you were there?
That is still what is happening today. That's why I said that the people who are fighting Galamsey very often don't understand the problem. Or
so
understand the problem, but then do not have the political will and courage to solve the problem. Because you see, when you have blocked the place and then you have companies claiming that they own the place, and these young people are sitting there unemployed, and you, the company, you are not taking an active step to mine and then give them the jobs so that they can at least have a daily income.
They go in themselves.
They'll go in there themselves.
So that's what's happening.
That is what is happening.
So if you don't give us the way, we will find our way.
We will find our way.
So that's essentially what's happening.
Are you getting the situation? But why is it environmentally harmful? That is the second question that we should ask ourselves. It is environmentally harmful not because they don't know how to do it in a proper manner. They will not do it in a proper manner because doing it properly involves some investments. And because they don't have a right to the place,
they are squatters.
They are squatters. They will not make that investment because they could be chased out of the place at any time.
So it's a temporary measure.
It's a temporary measure. They are digging because they know anytime they can come and chase us. That's one. So in some cases, I went to communities where they told me that sometimes they go to Obuasi and other places and find retired miners to come and assist them and show them how to mine, especially the deep pit mining. You know, they go deep down there and they send kids down there. So how did you get to know that you do it? So, we've brought some people from Obuasi who were mining at Anglo Gold or this other place, so they know and then they teach us. But then why don't you do it properly? Well, you know, because we don't have a right to the place. The soldiers can come and chase us at any time, so we have to hurry up and fetch whatever we can fetch and run away. Otherwise, we could actually do it properly. But then we won't get license for the place.
So
then the next thing is, why is the EPA not able to exercise control over all those sites and guide them to do it properly? Because EPA will say that is illegal. If somebody doesn't have a right to mine at a location,
you can't encourage them.
I can have an EPA officer sitting in the district. He knows where the location is. He knows what is happening there, but he has no mandate to go there and say, okay, fine, if you have to mine, this is how you do it. This is how you handle the cyanide. This is how you handle the chemicals. This is how you process the water. This is where you divert the water to. This is how you treat the water. Do you get the dynamics?
So your view is
the assemblies were taking money from them in the name of reclamation, but hardly ever went there to do the reclamation after these young boys.
So for you, the solution will be legitimize their work.
Legitimize the operations, legitimize the EPA moving in to assist anybody who is mining, whether the person is legal or illegal, to carry out mining environmentally friendly and complying with all the standards.
Even if they
that
don't own the concession.
There are two issues here. One is the environment your greater concern, or the ownership of the site.
But that will be trespass. Then that would lead to other litigations, and there could be gunshots, there could be killings. Do you want bloodshed in the plan to sanitize?
Is the killing not happening now? Are they not shooting at each other now? Are the soldiers not chasing after them now? But even worse, are we not confronted with a situation where they are mining improperly and then they are polluting the environment?
Before you left the ministry, what roadmap did you leave behind?
Well, I mean, at that time, I went to Dr. Obin, who was then Mineral...
Tony Obin.
Yeah, Tony Obin, who was then the Chief Executive of Minerals Commission. If you call him, he will confirm this. And I said, look, doctor, I've seen that this is where the problem is. And so instead of fighting these young people, let's do what NDC is proposing to do today. Identify sites. So you take a big concession. Somebody has come and said, oh, this is my place. You say, okay, in every large concession, there's a small area that is set aside for small-scale mining activity, for community mining. And then the indigenous of the place will be entitled to this location. And we'll have an EPA team there. We'll have the assembly there. We'll have all the relevant, in fact, technical support in terms of miners, qualified miners, to assist them to mine properly. When you do that, and then somebody goes and to an outlying area and tries to carry out mining, then you can send the soldiers and the police after them, because you need to have large-scale mining, which is usually better in terms of returns to the government, how much money you get. Small scale helps, but it's not as effective and efficient as large scale mining. But then you need to combine the two in such a way that these young people have a place where they play, and then these big shots also have a place where they play.
Did this your solution also cover river bodies and forests?
As for river bodies, mining in river bodies, that is something that is a no-no. Just to mine in river bodies, because mining in river bodies is a very technical exercise, which requires that you use dredges and other things, and not everybody has the capacity. A lot of the young people who are mining the river bodies just don't have the capacity.
But how about the washing in the river body, which is also another problem?
That is where you need the EPA. Because if you have the EPA, and the EPA can move in there and then try to direct activities, people will get to know that you don't wash here, you don't wash there. The EPA is coming to supervise and make sure that you do it properly. And then, you try to legitimize whatever anybody is doing at any location. The point I'm making is that there are different dimensions to the problem. And so if you don't understand it and deal with it at that level. So for instance, when people cut off large chunks of land and plot them in company names, and then spend 5 years claiming that they are doing exploration, when in fact what they are doing is waiting for an investor to pass by. Then they sell the concession to that person. When there are young, hungry people in the community
who cannot wait
for that large scale, they are happy if a large scale miner comes. In fact, recently I'm dealing with a similar situation where somebody got a concession and then he asked me to assist him. I went there, I saw a lot of illegal mining activity on his concession. And then I talked to the people. It was just a few months ago. And I went to the chief in the village, and the chief said, look, we've been told there's gold here. We are happy if a large-scale mining company can, because we've seen what happens to communities where large-scale mining companies, in fact, sometimes they resettle the whole community, build new houses for them, you know, schools. Build new schools, build clinics. So we are happy to get a large-scale mining company to come and then operate here. And then they will bring 200, 300 trucks, so all the young people here can learn how to drive and operate their equipment. And then our young people who are in the cities looking for jobs and are graduates can come back home and get clerical jobs in these companies and etc. But then the large-scale miner is not coming. And then some people who don't have capacity to be large-scale miners have gone to plot all those locations in their names, in their company names.
And these are politicians.
Waiting for a large-scale miner. They may not even be politicians. They may just be people who have the information. It's as simple as that. People who have the information.
Let me take this break. This is face-to-face. My guest is Honorable Mahama Ayariga. He was Minister for Environment, so I'm just testing him on how he operated or behaved when he was minister in dealing with this canker known as Galamsey. When we come back, I'll ask him what the political solution to Galamsey would be. We've seen soldiers deployed, we've seen drones, we've seen apps. All of these have failed. So what is the last thing that has to be done, in a few words? And then I'll talk about other issues relating to politics and the national elections coming up. Please stay. This face-to-face on Channel 1 television. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. My guest is Honorable Mahama Ayariga, MP for Bawku Central, former Minister for Environment. If Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president, were watching you, what would you say to him to do to face Galamsey now, before perhaps the election? Can he?
Well, I mean, he can start the effort.
He has started.
Well, I mean, people are not satisfied with what he has done because he's had 8 years to work, and clearly, if you look at the quality of our water bodies now, I'm told that whereas under the NDC when we're in office, Ghana Water Company could utilize 80% of the water. Now, not even up to 20% is available for utilization because of the pollution level. So clearly, he's failed to deal with the problem. Like I said, it's a problem that requires some meticulous thinking and understanding of the problem at each location. Because each location has its dynamics. I've said a couple of things. It may not apply to all the locations. In some locations, the chiefs themselves are the ones who have demarcated areas and invited people to come and carry out mining. But if the chief knew that he could just invite the district mining officer and then ask him to regularize that location, and the district mining officer will not tell him that that location is in a bigger concession belonging to somebody that the chief doesn't know. This is my land. I'm sitting with these young people. They must eat. They must survive. And then you are telling me that I can't even fetch 1 square kilometers of this kingdom and then ask young people to mine. And so what will happen? The next thing, the chief will look the other way, and then the boys will go and start digging, and the girls will be carrying the pans for them, and then some Chinese will pass by and then start pre-financing their activities. Not because they want to do that, but because a chief doesn't understand why this location, his community cannot get a small site to also carry out community mining. So the political will to face the people at the Minerals Commission, to compel them to set out community mining sites so that the communities can also have their site. A directive to the EPA to make sure that they are present at all community mining sites. Secondly, to make it difficult for people to just block out large-scale areas and then plot them in their names and then not invest over a period of time. And then the young people get impatient. They are looking for jobs. They're looking for livelihoods. And then they hear that there's a huge mineral deposit in their area and the investor is not making the investment. You see people take a concession, then they sell it to this person sells to the other person. They may sell it to 5 different, and then they keep making money out of it. They keep flipping it and making money out of it. But the local people are getting nothing. So somebody starts with reconnaissance, discovers that there's something there, sells to another person for $10 million for doing nothing beyond just making some $1 million investment in reconnaissance. Then he goes to sell to another person at $100 million, and somebody sells another $200 million, and then the people are sitting there, and then the state is not putting pressure on them to actually commence the mining activity.
So you should have a certain capacity before it is given to you. So you should have a certain
capacity, and you must force them and give timelines that if we discover there's minerals here, you must either carry out the exploration within a certain short period of time, finish. And if the person doesn't complete it and comes for renewal of his license, cancelled.
There's a view that let's declare a state of emergency in all these Galamsey areas and deploy the soldiers. Do you think that's a solution? And that's something the president can do. Do you think that's something he should do?
I've heard people say state of emergency. How are you going to sustain that? How are you going to? Do you know what state of emergency means?
For 6 months.
State of emergency means that you lift all the protection, the human rights protections that exist in our constitution, and deploy soldiers, and then they can kill, they can shoot, they can arrest without warrant, they can imprison without trial. State of emergency means that you just lift all those protections that are in the constitution. And I'm saying that there are more humane ways of doing this. First, deal with the big shots. You can't tell me that you can't see the big party leaders who have huge excavators, huge equipment, and are pulling down forests. You can't tell me you can't see those ones. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that you can't see some chiefs that have taken large chunks of their lands and then given to Chinese and others to mine for them. You can't tell me you can't see large scale, not large scale, but large areas.
So there are low-hanging fruits that should go to.
Sometimes they are just by the roadside. And all of us are driving, and then you turn right,
I saw
you
that
see
in
them.
The eastern region.
Exactly. You turn right, you see them. You turn left, you see them. And they are digging. You can't tell me that you haven't seen that. But you don't need a state of emergency.
But
you just need the district police command to move in there. If it needs reinforcement, you bring in reinforcement and stop them. And then you start the investigation. Okay, we have minerals here. You guys, where are you from? So we are from here, we are from there. We are members of the community. Who is your leader? Who asked you to mine here? Why has he asked you to mine here? Invite that person. We're not going to arrest you. We're going to find out why you are mining here. Why didn't you go for a license? You'll find out that that place has been plotted in the name of some company. Where is the company? Why are you not mining? You came here and took a concession that you're going to mine, and you're not mining. 10 years now, you are not mining. You are not giving the young people in this community employment opportunities. If you are not mining, we are canceling this section. We are converting this place into a community mining, center, and we're bringing the EPA to supervise them. And now, young people, everybody take, 1 square kilometer or whatever it is, and then from now onwards, you are going to mine under the supervision of the EPA, the same way that a large-scale miner will mine, but mine under the supervision of the EPA and mine responsibly. They are human beings.
But you see,
they are human beings.
The same chapter 5 that you talk about on the human rights also has the rule for the emergency situations.
Yes.
And there is a view that where we have gotten to is a national emergency crisis situation. And that you...
Do you know where the crisis is? Do you know where the national crisis is?
Where is it?
Do you know where the national crisis is?
Where is it?
It's a crisis of leadership.
Yes, so...
It is not a crisis of illegal mining.
So the view is that...
It's a crisis of bad leadership.
The view is that allow the place to flourish for at least 6 months. Recently we introduced this new concept where we don't go fishing for a whole month. We say we've clogged the sea so that the fish would multiply or reproduce or whatever and allow the young ones to grow. The view is that give a 6 months period Let the soldiers go and make sure nobody mines, whether you have a legitimate license or you don't. For that period, let's allow the river bodies to come back to what they used to be. Let the forest
Why not? Why
heal.
not forever then? Why not forever? That
No,
anybody who
until
doesn't
you
have
can
a
hold-
license
until you can
doesn't
hold-
have.
until
How
you
about
can
the
ha-
large-scale mining companies?
At least those ones are properly regulated.
Why?
We know where they are, we know what they do. But these ones is
What
like
do they
almost,
do? That is different.
But there's regulation.
No, what do they do?
The
That is
EPA
different.
goes to check
They
their
are
tailings dams and all
they
of
are
those things.
mining in a manner consistent with environmental standards and regulations.
So you don't think we should put a halt and say, let's halt everything, so just make sure nobody does anything until further notice?
What I'm going to say might not be a popular position,
Please say it.
but I said it 8 years ago that Akufo-Addo will not go far because he's not approaching the matter well. People are desperate, people are unhappy with the situation, and then people think that a state of emergency all of a sudden will deal with the issue of mining. Do you know how many soldiers you need to deploy in order to cover the whole of Ghana and then to effectively implement the state of emergency? I already told you that the sites that I have been to,
The soldiers
soldiers
are
were standing there and the people were mining, and they told me they do it with those people.
But they didn't have the
And I already
command.
told you that people are mining by the roads, and the same soldiers and, you know, what do they call it, policemen are driving up
Yeah,
and
but they
down.
don't have the command to
You
act.
have a command as a police officer to stop any criminal conduct. Mining without license is a crime. So you can stop it. Why are they not stopping it? They are not stopping it because, one, the police are also human beings. The soldiers are also human beings. The young people you're asking them to go and then use state of emergency powers on are their cousins and relatives and brothers and tribesmen and tribeswomen and sisters. You think that they'll go and just shooting them because, you know, you have given them a command to do that? They won't do that. They may put up a show, they may stop 1 or 2 locations, but they won't enforce. There are some orders you give the soldiers, they will not enforce. There are some orders you give the police, they will not enforce. If you, the politician, cannot find a more humane way of dealing with the problem, they will not do what you're asking them to do.
There's a view that what
So
you have
I think that there is a humane way of doing it. Let's invest in the EPA. Let's get the EPA all the resources they need to be able to support every mining activity in every community so that they have enough personnel to go there. Let's give them the vehicles. Let's have the policemen rather escort them. Let's have the soldiers escort the EPA to go there and say, look, you sure there's gold here? You are digging. What have you used to determine that there's gold here? Let's have the Minerals Commission to confirm that there's gold there. Let's have them demarcate the area for them, license them, and have the EPA. And these young people will be happy because, like I told you, I've spoken to them. And they said, look, we can invest in it and make sure that we mine in an environmentally friendly way. But the reason why we won't do the investment is because we don't have a right to the place.
to do that. There's a plan from your party to release people who have been convicted for engaging in illegal mining. You've also made some other promise. There's a view that that's a reckless plan you are putting in place and that you, the NDC, which wants to be the alternative and wants to be the next government, you are not as committed as well, and that at the end of the day, both parties have no interest in solving that Galamsey problem. And so it's a lost cause.
No. Indeed, we also came into office and approached the problem the same way that Akufo-Addo tried to approach the problem. And then we found out that it doesn't work. By the time we found out that it doesn't work, we're at the tail end of our tenure of office. Okay? Having sat at home for 8 years, seen what the problem is, understood the dynamics, like I'm telling you, in our manifesto, we're clear in our minds. And John Dramani Mahama said everywhere that he goes, that look, what we're going to do is to demarcate these areas where we have evidence of the existence of these mineral reserves, and then give you licenses, and then you operate them legitimately, is that okay? As artisanal and small-scale miners under the supervision of the EPA. And we will resource the EPA and appoint mining engineers to supervise your work. And in some cases, we would set you up in such a way that you have large-scale miners by you so that you mine and then you sell to them. In fact, we can even have a situation where we compel large-scale miners as part of the condition of their license. Because see, when you do the exploration, you will see that some areas have huge reserves. Some areas, the reserves are there, but they are not huge. The huge reserve area justify large-scale commercial mining. The not too huge ones also will be able to support community mining. From your exploration report, we can tell. So we can say, okay, the condition for granting you this concession is that this area, you relinquish it to the community as community mining, but then under your supervision, because we will hold you accountable for whatever happens there. So the license that the EPA is giving you will cover this area.
Okay.
So your job is to make sure that your environmental officers that you use in your large-scale mine will also cover the activities of these, communities, and then supervise and make sure they're doing the right thing. And then when they finish, they sell to you. John Mahama has been very clear in his mind how he's going to deal with this problem, because he's come to understand it very, very well. So anybody who thinks that we are reckless probably doesn't also understand the complication of the situation. If we are reckless, take what Akufo-Addo has done. What results has it generated?
Let's shift gear and talk about the campaign, the national election. For the first time, there are two Northerners leading two of the major political parties going into the election. You are a Northerner yourself. What is the, and I know you have your biases because you want John Mahama to win, but is it going to be John Mahama's biggest threat, considering that his brother from the region, a region that used to be the same region in the past, the northern region, is the one who is contesting him to this election?
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that. Anybody who understands the politics of this country will know that the fact that MPP has put up a northern candidate against the NDC, which has put up a northern candidate, presents a very serious challenge to the NDC as a political party. There's no doubt about that. The difference and why we won't be too worried about this is the person that the NPP has put up as the candidate. If he was an unknown person, if he didn't have any track record of performance politically, then for me, that would have even been a more serious, threat. But unfortunately, we know Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He's been vice president for 8 years now. He's been touted as the person who will come and solve all Ghana's financial and economic problems, the wizard from the Bank of Ghana who understands the finances and can fix the cedi and maintain our own in relation to the dollar and deal with inflation and etc. He's come and he's performed, so badly that all the mistake about him, being a financial wizard who was going to come and help Akufo-Addo to deal with the finances of this country, is shattered. So yes, he's a northern candidate, but because of the serious credibility problems that he has as a person, we in the NDC are not afraid of him. But of course, I believe that it will push up some of the votes in some locations. For instance, his region, maybe home support, and then he's going to go into the Muslim communities and tell the Muslims all sort of things and that kind of thing. And we already seen that the MPP, from the beginning of his campaign, ran it like a Muslim versus Christian kind of thing, that Muslims are being given the opportunity and etc. So he will run all those lines. Some of it will have some impact in some locations, but it also comes with some advantage to the NDC that in some of the southern regions, it's been like an offense for NDC to have been putting up northern candidates and other candidates to run this country. And they've been campaigning, on those grounds that you can't allow a northerner to lead and etc. You can't vote for a northerner. And then the party that has been drumming that message all of a sudden puts up a northerner. Then people are going to say, oh, well, you've been trying to discourage us from voting northerners. Now you put up a northerner. So what's wrong with the other northerner who is also running on a different party ticket? Because whichever way, there are two northerners contesting. So we don't have the option between a northerner and a southerner. We have an option between two northerners. So for people who, for decades, have been oriented towards voting a southern candidate, southern tribesman, and that kind of thing, for now they have no opportunity. They have to choose between two northerners. And so they may say, well, if I put my tribal lenses aside and I now want to assess the two in terms of their records and their performances, it is possible that many of those who used to vote for MPP's candidate, no matter who they put up, once he is a certain candidate, may be now saying, let's vote on the basis of performance and delivery. And I think that John Dramani Mahama probably did better if I compare my circumstances today to my circumstances 8 years ago. So Bawumia being there comes with some, threat to the NDC. But he being there also opens up some opportunities for the NDC in the southern part of the country, which the NDC should take advantage of. So I will admit that there's some threat there, but also there's some opportunity.
This is Face to Face. When we come back, I'll talk about Bawku Central, the constituency that the Honorable Mahama Ayariga is seeking to be MP for again, and what his chances are having gone to submit his nomination forms. Please stay. Welcome back to Face to Face. Honorable Mahama Ayariga, you've been MP for Bawku Central since 2005, right?
With a break of 4 years.
With the when Sakande came to do his thing.
From 2009 to 2012.
Oh, when Adamu Dramani Sakande came to finish you, and then you went, you and Bill. Let me not talk about this. You have been MP,
I won't say anything about it.
Don't say it. It is my mischief. Leave it with me.
Okay.
15 years, all put together. Why should people of Bawku Central vote you again?
Oh, well, I mean, I have been making a case to them because the job of a member of parliament is effective representation. And I believe that I'm one of the MPs that have been effectively representing the views of my constituents, and not just my constituents, but Ghanaians as well, and my party in Parliament. And through some work, we've brought quite a lot of development in the area. In fact, if you go to my constituency, you find out that in almost every community, we have basic schools, we have expanded our secondary schools, and in almost every community, I've extended rural electrification. I mean, a major feat in terms of development. You know what electricity does in terms of changing the development trajectory of a community. We've made portable water available. The problem of my constituency is known to most Ghanaians, the ethnic conflict, the war that has been fought for a very long time. It stood in the way of development. Peace has eluded us. That is an area that we need to work together as a people to try and then deal with. As we speak, there are large chunks of the constituency that I cannot even physically visit.
You yourself?
Me, myself.
As a representative of the people?
Yeah, as a representative of the people. If I have to go there, I have to go, with military escort and etc. There are sections of the constituency where people will be harassed and threatened if they were seen even, campaigning for me. People are scared to even say that they support me, not because of me per se, but because of the ethnic issues and the chieftaincy matters that, and the positions that I have taken in relation to the chieftaincy. A position that I took 20 years ago, and then today, even Bawumia has come to confirm my position. But I get punished for sharing those views. But we are working to try and then restore peace in the area. For a long time, if you observe, I have stayed away from discussing these issues on air. And so I don't want to open them up here. But what I can say is that the only time I lost an election was when there was conflict like this. The time that Adamu Sakande won, 2008. It was a similar period where MPP had come into office. Chieftaincy issues erupted, as violent as it is today, but less violent than what we see today. And I couldn't have access to a significant chunk of the population to even campaign. And, we saw the result. So some people go out there and say, oh, Ayariga promotes conflict because it gives him advantage. Conflict has never given me advantage. On the contrary, like I'm saying, the only reason why I lost in 2008 was because there was a conflict. Without the conflict...
But you didn't lose 2020. MPP was in power.
Pardon?
You didn't lose 2020.
But there was no conflict.
So the conflict is new.
Conflict erupted in the last 3 years and has been very intense. So I don't promote conflict for political gain because I will not gain. I have never gained politically. People who don't know say, oh, no. There are positions that I take on the matter of principle. Is that okay? Even when it is endangering me politically. But truth be told, if you stick to the truth, one day you get exonerated. And today, as I speak, the positions that I've taken, President Akufo-Addo has come to confirm my position.
And what position?
Bawku has come to confirm my position. I said I don't want to open things up.
Okay.
Because this is not the time to open up.
Let me just ask you a question directly about who can bring peace to Bawku. Is it 1, Mahama Ayariga, the MP, 2, the DCE, 3, the regional minister, the Bawku Naba, the Nairi, the president, the minister for defense, the minister for the interior, minister for national security? Who is that single person who can ensure that there's peace in Bawku?
No one single person can ensure that there's peace in Bawku. Every single person you have mentioned can ensure that there's peace in Bawku. The Nairi, the Bawku Naba, the youth of Bawku, myself, the MPP, the NDC, all the stakeholders, all the citizens of Bawku have to work together. And then the government has to support them to work together. And I'm sure that we can fashion out.
Are you getting the government support in peace over there?
When I talk this way, people may interpret it, politically or a partisan way. But I'm disappointed because I don't see government pushing a dialogue among the people who are supposed to be talking in order to come up with a solution.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
I need to go, but
because
you mentioned that in election years, when there's conflict, you are troubled. Yeah. Does it mean your seat is shaky?
There's a threat, but I will find a way.
Are you sure?
I will find a way.
Are you sure you can win 2024?
I will find a way. I will find a way.
I wish you all the best, and thank you for speaking to us on Face to Face.
Thank you very much.
That's the Honorable Mahama Ayariga. He is NDC Member of Parliament for Bawku Central and a Minister of State formerly in the erstwhile NDC administration. My name is Umaru Sanda. I want to thank you for watching us.